Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be letting you know why over the last couple of weeks I've probably had more fun inside World of Tanks than I have had in at least a very long time, of many years I would say, and that is because I participated in my first clan event. It's something that I've always just thought was just too much effort, too much time. Never thought that my community would be able to enjoy it. Didn't think that I had the time in the evenings and wanted to try and make sure that my stream was what the viewers would want to see. However, I'm really happy that I participated in the latest Maneuvers event with the Invest community. So big thank you to M4 who set this up. It's a clan which I'm affiliated with directly and proud to be a part of and proud to have participated in Maneuvers. And I'm happy to say that I'm going to get my first Clan Wars tank. And it won't cost me any bonds as I finished in the top 9,000 players. So I'm going to be picking that one up on Wednesday. And please do let me know in the comments down below which tank should I pick and why. I might be giving you my opinion on that maybe this Wednesday, possibly. So, Maneuvers. It's 7 versus 7. And you had to get as many teams as possible. So firstly, I want to talk about that. Right off the bat, that it was really bizarre to me just how complicated the whole system is. It felt like I had to spend hours trying to figure it out, and towards the end of the event, we were still discovering mechanics that allowed us eventually to be able to get all 7 members of our main group, the vehicle. All of the names that you see here, apart from Famous Landmark, who I hope has enough bonds to be able to bid on the tank, managed to get one of the vehicles completely for free. With Lobstep, if you know him from Twitch, getting a vehicle for free as well. It required a lot of effort. I played both hours for all 14 days. Now, I probably could have managed to not play all 14 days if we'd had a larger clan. And this is one of the crazy things that quickly became apparent in Maneuvers, is it's not just about having a great team of 7 players who, even if you're able to go in and get like a 75% win ratio, you would have to play a huge amount for the whole event to be able to get a tank for free, and you wouldn't be able to contest the real high positions. And that is because of a mechanic the Wargaming have in Maneuvers called clan level. And for the clan level, which scales between 1 and 95, I believe, the highest we managed to get our clan level was to 26 through the event, for reasons that I'll explain a little bit more, is that depending on your clan level, when you win, or even if you lose, and you destroy 2 tanks on the enemy team, important fact that if you don't destroy at least 2 tanks, you don't get any of the loser points. The clan level boosts the amount of points that your team gets for winning. So the issue is that the way that you level up a clan is by getting wins. However, unless you've got many groups of 7 players playing inside the clan, if you only have one group, for example, then you can never get your clan multiplier high. And so the teams that ended up finishing towards the top, they had 10 teams running at the same time. And in theory, if you were min-maxing and you had all, I guess, 98 players playing, you could get 14 teams playing at the same time. And if you've got 14 teams running at the same time, you are going to be able to boost your clan level up massively faster than other smaller clans would be able to. And that was something that immediately became apparent to me, that there was no way that we were going to be able to compete for the high end, even if we were winning like 70% of our battles just by having a single group. Luckily, a lot of other Invest members stepped up and they played very actively to help boost the clan level up. And so basically, Maneuvers, it's not just about having a good group of 7 players within a clan, it's about trying to get many teams of 7 players playing within the clan. And that is a tricky thing to do, especially when you consider that if you want to be competitive, you have to have somebody who's organizing the group, somebody who's getting them all. Are they going to be there? Do they have life? Do they need to have another member to step in for anyone who's not going to be there? And also actually lead the group, which not that many people can do, at least effectively, inside World of Tanks. Luckily for me, just Survive in our group, an incredible leader, absolute fantastic job. Helped come up with some brilliant tactics, which we've managed to evolve over the couple of weeks. And some of the maps that were actually our worst maps ended up being some of our better maps towards the end of event, because hopefully we managed to learn from those losses. So, whoa, clutch moment here. Are we going to get the team the points? Yeah, we are. The AMX fluffs the shot and we don't. And I have to admit, the feeling of winning with 5 hit points and having all of your friends cheering on, for some reason it meant so much more than seeing people cheer in Twitch chat. Don't get me wrong, I love the active response for the audience, but the idea of playing with friends and feeling like you're coming together to be able to achieve something, and to if you win a lot, you're going to be able to get the tank for free and not have to spend the 40,000-50,000 bonds that you would have to bid for a tank, was an incredibly rewarding feeling that I thoroughly missed out on over the last decade of not playing Clan Wars. Now, apart from getting to play with some real awesome like-minded gamers and coming together to try and work together in a competitive environment, I think that what Maneuvers showed me is that 7 versus 7 can actually work inside World of Tanks. Everyone, well, most of you will know my opinion of Onslaught, and that is that it's a terrible game mode that doesn't really spark very much joy for me. And I think that after playing Maneuvers, I was so surprised that 7 versus 7 can be fun, that unless maybe I've just been really enjoying it because of how great it has been to be part of a team and to feel like you're growing together as players and that sense of camaraderie. But I think it's more than that. I think the reason why 7 versus 7 works in Maneuvers is because of a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't get to make the perfect team on a perfect map. You pick your tanks, and you pick tanks that will hopefully work for all of the different maps, and then you have to adapt and overcome some of the poor situations that arise. I think by far the worst thing about Onslaught is getting to pick a tank for the map. I know that sounds a bit weird, but it just means that it becomes so boring so unbelievably quickly. And the reason is because when you get to not have to deal with those awkward situations where you have, say, like an E100 and you're on Prokhorovka, then suddenly the game just becomes this smooth brain, awful, just the same thing again and again. Oh, I spawned on Prokhorovka, I pick this tank. Oh, I spawned on Himmelsdorf, I pick a heavy. It's just, you do the same thing. And I think one of the most important things in World of Tanks is the variety, and also putting yourself into awkward situations to see whether you're going to sink or swim. And I think it will allow good players to show their difference. And another thing as to why I think Maneuvers is just so much better, at least for me, than Onslaught, is because of the lack of the artillery barrages, that it did allow more teams to have more parts of the map played. Now, of course, protecting the cap circle was very important. It forced the engagements to happen. But the fact that there just wasn't a single location on the map where everybody had to go and grind to be able to get to go and pick up that radar or to pick up that artillery barrage like you would in Onslaught just meant that there was so much more maneuvering in the Maneuvers game mode, or at least that's how I felt. And the next point that I want to bring up as to why I think there was just so much more variety in this as well was that there's none of these stupid abilities, you know? There's not a tank destroyer that suddenly can manage to become able to ram you for a ridiculous number of hit points. Or there's no 430U that suddenly has like a reload of 3 seconds and just absolutely trashes you in quickly in close quarters combat. This felt raw. It felt like World of Tanks. And sorry, Malaman. I forgot there was team damage. Let me just explain what just happened there. Firstly, I completely forgot there was team damage in Maneuvers. It's been many, many years, like 10 years or whatever, since I've been able to damage one of my friends. And I was just so happy with Maloman that we managed to get through this, like, 2 versus 3, that I wanted to, like, give him a fist bump. Yeah, unfortunately, my RNG came up and I high rolled and Maloman was out the game. But I'm more about that in a second. But I digress. The point definitely stands. That this felt like World of Tanks. It didn't feel like some kind of cringe mobile title where you go in and you got loads of weird ass abilities and you just use them and it allows you to become kind of like a super tank for a small period of time. This was World of Tanks. And it felt like, once again, the tanks and the engagements mattered, and it wasn't so much about picking tanks that had the better ability. You could play what you wanted and play to your tank strengths. It was beautiful, and it really made me realize why Onslaught is a complete sack of crap. Now, with regards to the other main feature of maneuvers, i.e. the tank locking, there's no doubt why wargaming want maneuvers to happen. Maneuvers encourages clans. Clan activity creates emotions towards a game, and it creates this support structure for players to want to continue playing. It also creates peer pressure to do things inside the game. And another way that wargaming are encouraging peer pressure is through having to effectively collect as many tanks as you possibly can. Because the way that maneuvers works is whenever your tank gets destroyed, either in a loss or in a win, your tank is locked out until the clan spends points to be able to repair that tank or decides to reset all of the vehicles at the same time. The problem with resetting all of the vehicles at the same time is it resets your clan level as well. So you suddenly get very poor points until you reach about level 15 to 20, where you start to actually make decent points. Once again, you can climb up the leaderboard to be able to see if you can get one of those tanks for free. So the issue is that wargaming clearly have that tank locking system to force variety, so people just don't play the same tank again and again and again. But they also have that tank locking system so that you have to collect 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 tier 10 tanks. And then of those, probably maybe you've got about 30 tanks that are competitive and can be played in here without kind of like trolling your friends a little bit. It really made me realize as well that, for example, having a WZ-111 Qilin was a massive advantage. Not only because you had an extra WZ-111 5A, which works really well in maneuvers, that you could get locked out in, but the way that the tank unlocking works is that every time that tank is unlocked before the clan does a full reset, it goes up in price by 1. So at first it costs 10 repair parts. Then, when, for example, a WZ-111 5A is repaired, the next person in the clan who has it repaired, it will cost 11, then 12, 13, 14, 15, so on and so forth. By the end of one of our resets, the Object 268 version 4, which was played by Lobstep a lot of, ended up costing, I think it was nearly 30 repair points, as he really liked to play his Object 268 version 4. Now, for that price, we could have unlocked 3 other vehicles that hadn't been unlocked previously. So the reason why having like a Qilin is so important is because when you have these tier 10 clone tanks, that if everyone has a WZ-111 5A in the clan and they're dying and they need to have them unlocked to be able to play them again, if you have a WZ-111 5A Qilin, then you could unlock that for 10 points. So by having these rare vehicles, it allowed players to be able to use them multiple times at a significantly reduced cost compared to the tech tree tanks, which are more common and everyone has. So for example, as someone who has the Hurricane on 2 accounts, on my main account and my Plays for Free account, after finishing Champion all 3 times on my main and Gold all 3 times on my free-to-play, I was able to use the Hurricane on both accounts eventually to be able to help the clan be more efficient. So not only did we manage to have CS63s that we could unlock from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 points, we also had Hurricane that we could unlock for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 to make it cheaper. So having access to all of those very rare tanks is a significant advantage in maneuvers. Now, it's not going to mean that, for example, suddenly your clan is automatically going to win the entire event, or you're automatically going to get the tank for free. That's not what I'm suggesting. But all of these advantages do stack up, and Wargaming clearly realize that by having the maneuvers event work in the way that it does and encourages clans to get as many tier 10s as possible, and also encourages clan members to be able to get the rare tier 10s so they can be really cheap to unlock, it also means that Wargaming actually has a market for clones of vehicles, such as the Stinger that'll be coming out for this Onslaught season, although I personally don't think the T-57 is very good, so I don't think the Stinger will be very good. But it definitely makes me as a player now consider that if Wargaming put in competitive vehicles that would be used inside maneuvers, I would do a lot to be able to get my hands on them. Or alternatively, I might end up wanting to pay a lot to be able to get my hands on them. So I think that Wargaming have created an interesting system. I think that the system is fine. I think the system, it definitely rewards players who want to invest a lot into the game and who want to be able to invest a lot into Wargaming to have all of those different aspects. But I think it's fair. I think it's fair on Wargaming and it's fair on the players. And I am the kind of person who thinks that in games, that players who do put in the most time and effort, that they deserve to have little advantages, but maybe not from like a complete competitive sense. I don't think that somebody should just have a tank that's better, but you know what, if by putting in that extra time and effort it's going to allow their clan to have a few extra repair parts here, which might mean that the clan gets a few extra points overall and climbs up the leaderboard just a little bit, then fair play to them if they're putting in the effort to be able to get those vehicles. And it's not as if suddenly you go in with an SDB1 that just fires 10% faster. I'm not trying to defend those kind of advantages at all. So, maneuvers. All in all, this has been, I think it's probably been the most fun I've had in World of Tanks for what feels like about 10 years, at least 8 years, since kind of like the peak of World of Tanks in 2016, where everything felt like it was fresh and it was growing and it was exciting. Now, I'm not saying that there haven't been highlights along the way, and I'm not suggesting that I don't enjoy what I do. I definitely don't enjoy it as much as I used to from like a fresh-eyed perspective, but boy, maneuvers has been a breath of fresh air. And it's something that I want to continue doing with Envest. So if any of you are watching and disheartened that you didn't manage to get a tank for yourself, or alternatively maybe you feel like you want to be with a bunch of like-minded gamers who are working towards things, then we are looking for active players. And also, I'd like to pause this for a second. Just Survive highlighted to me to what I'm doing here, boosting him to try and get into position was incredibly risky, because I have 7 hit points and team damage is on. I could have ended up ramming Just Survive here, and I would have taken that micro team damage like you used to get into the STB1. So when he tells me this, I think I'm suddenly going to lay off the gas, yeah, right here, and make sure I'm not going to be bumping him. I digress. Maneuvers. Probably the most fun I've had in years and years and years inside World of Tanks. Envest will be doing more. And now that I know how the system works, and I know that it's not as simple as just having a really tight group of 7 players, we need to have multiple groups of 7 players at tier 10 playing. So if you are, I'm not going to lie, if you are a serious gamer, you've got 55% average win ratio plus overall on your account, and you've got at least 20 tier 10s, and you want to participate in skirmishes, and you're interested in participating in the next maneuvers event, then we are accepting applications. Next event, we are going to have at least 5 groups running, and I want 3 groups to be able to get the tanks for free. I would love to have more. If any of you want to be a part of that, then you can apply in-game. I'm not promising that everyone's going to be able to get in. We've only got a few spots left, but for exceptional players, as I said, minimum 55% win ratio, minimum 20 tier 10 tanks. You have to be a social individual, 18 plus, to meet the criteria that we are looking for. Then take your shot, so to say, and let's see if we end up playing together to try and boost Envest's up the leaderboard for the next maneuvers event. And the result was not only having a great time just playing with new friends, managing to get the entirety of the group, the pick of the vehicles for free. There were at least another 25 people in Invest who managed to get the personal fame points where they're going to be able to bid in the auction. So I hope you bid well, guys, and good luck with getting the vehicle. And now the only dilemma I have is, what vehicle should I pick? And I think that probably a few of you out there, the competitive players, are probably in a similar situation. So firstly, give me your recommendation down below. Which one should I pick and why? I don't have any of them apart from the M60. But now I'm going to give you my quick rundown as to which vehicle I would recommend that you get and why. Okay, so firstly, M60, you should get this one, right? It's definitely the best one you should get. No, don't be stupid. Just go buy it for bonds. Only pick this one if you have all of the others and you just don't want to have to waste the bonds inside the bond store if you're getting it for free, of course, not via the auction. With regards to the T95 E6, it's a good tank. It's not bad at all. The weak point is horrendous. The issue is it's not super competitive, so I wouldn't really recommend it in a maneuvers environment with that weak point on top. And also, this one's been around for a while, and I got a funny feeling that Wargaming might put this one inside the bond store, or they might end up even making it the next Tour of Duty reward. So this is the one that I wouldn't recommend getting at all, because I think it's at risk of being available outside of a competitive environment. With regards to the 116, this one's, again, it's not horrendous. It does have incredibly troll armor with that autoloader. But again, I think that if any of them are at risk of being inside a Tour of Duty event or even going inside the bond store, I think this one, a bit like the T95 E6, is a little bit vulnerable as well. Next up, the VK7201. This is arguably the best heavy tank for the random queue. Monstrous 350 penetration on its heat with 750 alpha and a slightly better armor layout than the Panzer 7. Now, I would say that the Panzer 7 is probably the better tank for a free-to-play player who's not willing to spam gold. But if you are, the VK, probably the best pick out of all of these. So next up, 907. This thing's just an absolute classic. I think it's competitive inside a maneuvers environment, but I think it's getting power crept. I think it's not the tank that it used to be all of those years ago, where its armor was truly outrageous. Now the Object 140 has been buffed, so it's got 7 degrees of gun depression and way better hull armor than it used to have back in the day. So the age of the 907 just being this god tier dominant thing, definitely not the case. Still a funky tank to be able to pick though, and I think the more competitive of the two Soviet mediums that you could pick. And the ST62. I've done a full tank review on this, so if you want to know my full opinion, go watch my recent tank review of this vehicle. I think it's good, but I think it's just a little boring. And I think its horrible hull armor will mean that it's not a great pick if you want to be competitive inside a maneuvers environment. However, I think it will be quite good inside the random queue with how sneaky it is. It's got some great camo, and it should be good in the hands of a capable player. So that was like a tank rundown. I do think that if you're sitting on the fence, you might want to get the ST62 version 2. Not because it's better than the VK, and not because it's more competitive than the 907 in a maneuvers environment, but because the ST62, to all intents and purposes, it might not be available again for some reason. Or maybe Wargaming will make none of these vehicles available again. We just have to guess to see what Wargaming are going to do. I can only go with my gut instincts, is that if you have the opportunity to secure a new tank, if I'm completely wrong, and maybe this is the most overpowered tank of all time, Wargaming might not make it available again, a bit like what they did with the Chieftain, for example, which is only coming back once every few years into the competitive scene. Although now with the Chieftain being nerfed, I wouldn't be surprised if we get to see it as a reward for the next maneuvers event. So let me know in the comments down below, which one should I pick and why? Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for me today. Would I recommend that you try and get into the maneuvers scene for the next event? Yeah, I certainly would. If you're anything like me and you're just looking for an opportunity to get something else out of World of Tanks, for me, it was tons of fun. But maybe I just got lucky. Maybe I just got like a golden group of just really good guys. And I'd like to know your experiences with maneuvers in the comments down below. Did you have a great time with it? Or did you try it and it was horrible? For what reason? Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Looking forward to hearing what you think in the comments down below and having a good old discussion. I'll try and reply to a few of the comments here and there. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Good luck if you're planning on bidding. I'm not going to say how much I think it's going to cost because it will affect the auction. But all I'm going to say is if you think it's going to be less than like 30,000 bonds, you're going to be disappointed.